welcome everybody to the Marketing High Performance and Energy Efficient Homes webinar. We're going to get started here momentarily. Lots of you are interested in this webinar. We know from our signups, we've got about 40 realtors here and maybe 60 or so other. So lots of builders, some students from UBC, welcome. Really seems like this is a really popular topic. We're going to ask everyone for our Q&A section of the presentation to please pop your questions that are specific to the content in the Q&A chat. And then the regular chat, if there was any sort of technical difficulties, I have my colleague Sam Zidlowski here helping out. And if there's something specific to Zoom that you have a question about, go ahead and pop that in the regular chat. But the Q&A is really the place to go if you have some content specific questions, and that's easy for us to track and answer those. With that, I think I'm going to turn that over to my friend and colleague, Terry McConaughey.
Yeah, thanks very much, Katan. It's noon. We're going to get started right away. As you said, good afternoon, everybody. It is February 24th, 2022, and welcome to today's Lunch and Learn, Marketing High Performance Energy Efficient Homes. Great to see all of the interest and look forward to this hour. I'm the Executive Officer with the Canadian Home Builders Association, Northern BC, and I am just delighted to be here with my friends, Alex from the BC Northern Real Estate Board, and of course, my friend Gatan from the Community Energy Association. And thank you to Sam, of course, for everything that you do here to keep the train moving and on the tracks. Next slide, please, if you would be so kind, Gatan.
Just waiting on the computer there. There we go.
Sure, of course. Alex and I are, and Allison, which I'll introduce in greater detail in a few seconds, are here, and we want to acknowledge in Prince George, BC, of course. And I want to acknowledge that we share this this land where we live, work, and play with the Lheidli T'enneh people. That is translated of the people of the confluence of the river, which is apt because our beautiful city is located at the joining of the mighty Fraser and the Chaco rivers. Yes, a little bit about the Building a Legacy North initiative. This initiative is a partnership between the Canadian Home Builders Northern BC and the Community Energy Association, and we're here to provide education and tools so that the building community in Northern BC can respond to the mandated BC Energy Step Code. So we're here with an eye to the performance path, way to achieving that. And so our associations are here with the resources that you need to get on track. I will introduce now, shall I just introduce Allison and the speakers, Katan?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so we do have Meredith. Meredith Hamstead is with Think Bright Homes, and she is in Invermere this afternoon. And owners Paul Denchuk and Meredith Hamstead are passionate about building homes and better communities for people and for the planet. Thank you for that, Meredith. We could use more of that. Meredith operates behind the scenes at Think Bright Homes, applying 2 decades of environmental consulting experience to deliver rigorous project and financial management and client relations. Meredith leads Think Bright's customer service from the first meeting to the handover of the front door keys, which is always an exciting time. We also have on deck here Allison Conroy with Pelican Consulting in Prince George. Allison has over a decade of experience in the field of residential energy efficiency. She holds a Master of Engineering degree from the University of Northern British Columbia. She's a certified passive house consultant, an energy advisor just for kicks in her spare time, and she's licensed under Natural Resources Canada and Lead Homes accredited professional. Allison is also a past member of the board of the Canadian Home Builders Association of Northern BC. And further to that, I'm really pleased to kick this off with a little intro all about CHB in Northern BC. If you'd be so kind, Gatan.
One moment, I'll pull that up.
And then we'll turn it over to you, Gatan,
Okay, thank
for
you.
your expertise. This is the time to get the popcorn.
And if you don't hear sound, please let me know. Here it comes.
This is an industry that's constantly moving forward, one where excellence is paramount and simply being good isn't good enough. You work hard and you enjoy what you do. It gives you a sense of satisfaction, learning, growing, and expanding your capabilities and skills, solving problems and finding solutions. You strive for perfection. Your clients put their faith in you. They trust you with their investments, with their future. Why? Because you seek to be the best, and it shows. It's who you are. It's why you do it, day after day, month after month, year after year.
We've been a member for 3 months.
I've been a member for 1 year.
We've been a member for approximately 5 years.
I've been a member for 5 years.
We've been a member for 6 years.
I've been a member for 9 years.
I've been a member for 10 years.
We've been a member for over 30 years.
Over 30 years.
35 years.
35 years.
35 years.
45 years.
As the CHBA grows, our members grow. They meet, exchange knowledge, and bounce ideas off of each other. They put in, they take out. They keep in touch and form lasting connections. Their reach spans the north, from industrial centers and sprawling towns to quaint villages and mountain retreats. Here, they serve their industry and support each other. Membership gives them access to training and initiatives that improve their professional development. It helps them keep up with innovations and shows that they are interested in bettering the industry and themselves. It shows that they are serious about what they do and they seek to be leaders in their field.
I am a registered energy advisor.
We're builders.
We are custom home builders.
We are net zero custom home builders.
We are builders and renovators.
We are a manufacturer of windows and doors.
We are a supplier. We are a problem-solving subtrade.
And together, we are the Canadian Home Builders Association of Northern British Columbia.
Thank you, Gatan.
Thank you. Thank you, Alison Conroy. We're going to get to see so much of you today. I'm so excited because the next video I'm pulling up here shortly, it's going to also be you. I'm calling in from the Ktunaxa, the traditional territory of the Ktunaxa First Nations here in Furnish, British Columbia. And I started working with Community Energy Association, who does all kinds of work with local governments across the province into Alberta, the Yukon, to do anything related to climate action. And we know that buildings is one of those leverage points that local governments can really influence for their climate action, getting energy and emissions down with energy efficiency. And so my work here in the Kootenays translated into working with STEP Code up in the north. So that's the Building a Legacy North initiative that's funded by BC Hydro. And just before I press play on this next video, I wanted to mention this website, the Building a Legacy North website. It will have the recording of this webinar on it. It also has some more STEP Code information that you can find. And we've been doing a lot of webinars. Some of them are technical based, working with an energy advisor, doing air tightness, all the things we're going to talk about today that are related to that new construction and energy efficiency. And the performance pathway that Terry mentioned. And so with that, also, I wanted to mention that anyone that's attending the recording live today, if you're a licensed builder, this has been pre-approved for 1 CPD point with BC Housing. And also there's 1 credit from the BC Real Estate Board if you're a realtor, BC Northern Real Estate Board. And that's why Alex and Lori are here with us today. This is also credited if you are attending live. So with that, I just would like to bring up Alison's next great video. And then we'll get to hear more from her too. So here we go. One moment.
BC is implementing new changes to the building code that will make new buildings much more energy efficient over the next decade. To see what this means for new homes being built today, we visited one of Prince George's most famous new homes, the Hospice Society Dream Home. BC is in the early days of a transition called the Energy Step Code, which outlines 5 steps for making buildings more energy efficient. The final step, which would result in a home that's 80% more energy efficient than today's building code, will be required by 2032. But between now and then, each step is improving energy efficiency, all guided by an energy advisor. The Hospice Dream Home has been built to step 3, which is actually better than the current requirements. New homes built after 2022 will be required to perform at step 3.
So this house uses 39% less energy than a code minimum built house today. They have more insulation in the walls than a typical house might. The mechanical systems are quite energy efficient. The windows are well performing, which just gives the house, I think, for the consumer, the buyer, the occupant, a greater comfort, both thermally, acoustically. This house, the indoor air quality is good, makes for a more comfortable setting for the occupants. But then that also translates into monthly and annual cost savings of performance of the house, the heating, operation of the heating system and all of the mechanical equipment that's in the house. So there's lots of benefits to having built that house to a higher performance and meeting those targets of the step code. So overall, this house, it's estimated that it'll save just under $400 annually on their fuel and energy bills for the house, which is actually the equivalent of 2.5 tons of greenhouse gas emissions annually as well. Builders primarily, but now consumers are becoming much more aware of what it feels like to live or to be in a comfortable house.
Starting all the way from your foundation, you're thinking about efficiency, how you're gonna do the walls in your house, how you're gonna insulate the walls. Starting from all the way back there, and it goes all the way to the end when you're moving in, how you're gonna keep that efficiency high. So,
where do you see this going?
Efficiency? I think efficiency is gonna be the new normal for all of us.
Stay informed about the Energy Step Code and learn what it means for home builders as well as for home buyers. The Community Energy Association is partnering with the Canadian Home Builders Association to provide training and stories of success. Check us out online and keep in touch.
So thank you very much for that. I'm going to turn it over to Allison in a second, but you might have noticed my fashion sense that I am wearing a nice teal toque today because I'm living in Fernie, but it feels like minus Manitoba. And I do not live in an energy efficient house. An energy advisor came and did an assessment on my house in the fall and told me that my beautiful log home on 5 nice acres here in Fernie, 10 minutes away from the ski hill, is like a winterized camper. And so I feel that some days, even though I appreciate my home, I would appreciate if it was a little bit warmer sometimes or cooler in the summer. So with that, Allison, I'd like to turn it over to you.
Which one am I going to share here? Let's see, I think. There we go. Did that come up?
Yes, it did.
Excellent. I mean, I feel like I don't really even need to speak. I did a great job in that last video. I think I should just be done. But since we've got some time, let's see, is that in the way? Probably. Move that in there. So hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. As you know, I'm Allison Conroy, and Meredith and Terry have asked me to join you today just to speak a little bit more on the role of an energy advisor in building and demonstrating energy efficient homes. So Terry gave me a great introduction, but I've been in Prince George for 6 years now. I've been an energy advisor for 11 years. I also have my passive house designation. I used to do projects or work on LEED for homes projects as well, and built green before that. So I've had a lot of experience in different energy efficiency programs throughout the province. And I've also worked throughout the province as well. travel quite a bit, being based out of Prince George here, but before moving here, I was on the island and the lower mainland. So seeing a lot of different new builds and existing homes over the years. And I feel like that's given me some really good experience in figuring out the best ways to encourage energy efficiency, both in existing and new homes across the province. So it was briefly touched on in the last video we saw there, but essentially the STEP code, it's the intent of the provincial government that the STEP code will be the requirement for all new construction for demonstrating energy efficiency as of December of this year. Some municipalities and jurisdictions across the province have already written the STEP code into their building bylaws. So it's already a requirement for builders building in that area. But essentially for the STEP code, there are 3 energy efficiency targets that a builder needs to demonstrate a house is going to meet. And that includes your equipment efficiency. So we're speaking specifically about mechanical systems, your ventilation system, hot water, and heating systems. Those have to demonstrate that they meet a certain energy performance or energy consumption value or better, so less. The building envelope also needs to meet a certain energy efficiency requirement. So you need to have enough insulation, depending on where you're building, to show that the house, or to allow that the house will only require a certain amount of heating or cooling energy or less. And then as well, you have to do some post-construction testing and verification, and specifically an air tightness test to show that you meet the metrics of the STEP that is the requirement for you to meet for your jurisdiction. So as Rob mentioned in the last video, there are different tiers or steps in the BC Energy STEP code, step 1 being the first step. And then the intent of the provincial government for the STEP code is that we're going to move towards more energy efficient new construction, with the goal that by 2032, all new homes are built net zero energy ready. So they'll have very low energy demand based on how they've been built and designed. The STEP code requirements vary depending on where you're building in the province because we have different climate zones. So a house in Prince George will have different STEP code requirements than say a house in Victoria, but all with the same final intent. And so there you can just see some values that have to be demonstrated for mechanical systems, depending on the STEP. This is for climate zone 6, so Prince George or anywhere within the climate zone 6 area. And that'll depend on the house size as well. So a few different metrics that have to be tracked, but again, a builder has to demonstrate that they are meeting the performance requirements for all 3 of those different performance targets to show that they have met the STEP code requirements for a given step overall. So we know some jurisdictions have already adopted the STEP code into their building bylaws, and others will be required to do so as of December of this year. So what does that mean? How do we do that? Who tells us or who demonstrates that we have met those energy performance requirements? And that's where energy advisors come in. So energy advisors are individuals that are trained and licensed by Natural Resources Canada, or NRCan. And we are trained on a specific software modeling program for Part 9 homes. We follow a specific standardization or standard modeling procedures and on-site testing procedures that are outlined and developed by Natural Resources Canada. And then we overall act as a third-party verifier in demonstrating a new or existing home's estimated annual energy consumption, or that they meet specific performance targets through that modeling and on-site testing. So we go through specific Q&A, and we have to have that, one step removed from, any manufacturer of a specific product. We can't promote. We're removed from the builder and any products or homeowners in that way, that we can provide that third-party verification for a new or existing home. So as I said, we can do, energy advisors are trained and can work on either new or existing homes or both. We can also be trained to work on multi-unit residential buildings. So something that still falls within Part 9 of the building code, but has more than one dwelling unit in it. And we're also trained in air tightness testing, and I'll speak about a little bit later, but we also have a good background in building science and being able to look at a house from a holistic perspective, whether that's a house that's planned to be built or an existing house, and think about all the components and elements of that house and ensure that they're going to work together in a beneficial way for the building itself and for the occupants, and not have any unintended consequences. So the first step in working with an energy advisor is having an energy model of the house done. So whether that's for a new home, we're working off a plan set, or off an existing home and going and doing measurements and takeoffs from that house itself, the first thing the energy modeler or energy advisor needs to do is create an energy model of that house. So as I said, if it's a new house, I'm getting a plan set from the builder. Construction hasn't happened yet, and I'm doing takeoffs on those plans and looking at different components like how the walls are going to be built, how much insulation is going to go in the ceiling, types of mechanical systems they're planning on installing, putting all that information into the modeling software. If it's an existing house, then I'm going on site, taking all those measurements and gathering that same information from that existing house. Then that information all goes into that software that every energy advisor uses. So the software is called HOT 2000. And essentially we are building that a computer model of that entire house. So we're implementing information on all of the different components of the building envelope. So all of the different wall assemblies, the ceiling assembly, your foundation, how that's been built or will be built. And then as well, inputting information on the mechanical systems and various other items about the house as well. And then that allows us to look at all of those components and see how is this house either predicted to behave, or how much energy is it predicted to consume on an annual basis if it's a new house that has yet to be built, or if it's an existing house, what is its energy consumption on an annual basis. And then we can start to look at what are the different things that we can change to improve that performance. So make it more energy efficient, make it more comfortable. So one of the greatest benefits of working with an energy advisor is that they can take that plan set, build that energy model, and then start to say, okay, now that we know how you're planning on building the home, or how it has been built and how it stands right now, what are the different things that we can start to change or look at changing that will improve the overall efficiency? So hopefully decrease or reduce the annual operating costs, and then also improve the occupant comfort and possibly the durability of the building envelope as well. So we can take each of those components that we've put into the modeling software and say, hey, right now you've got a 2x6 wall and you've got, R22 bats in it. What if we put a little bit more insulation in that wall assembly, or put it on the outside of the wall assembly? How is that going to improve the overall performance of the house? So we can start to play around with these different components and then go back to the builder, have a discussion with the builder, or have that discussion with the homeowner and say, here's what I found. And here are, my top recommendations as to ways you can improve the overall energy performance or energy consumption of that house, or improve your comfort within a specific space, or improve the efficiency of a mechanical system. And then that builder or homeowner can take that information. We can start to look at what the cost savings would be for each of those items, or have a discussion for other items that they're thinking, you know, I don't have the budget, or I don't want to change out the windows right now, but what if we looked at changing something else in the building envelope? So we can look at those trade-offs and those benefits together so that you can hopefully move forward and either build or do renovations that'll create the best overall improvements for the building envelope and the occupants as well. And then the final note there, occupant health and comfort. As I noted, energy advisors have a good background in building science, and taking that step back and looking at the overall performance and operation of a house that's existing, and thinking about ways that different systems or components within the building and the occupants themselves might be interacting, and ensure that it's doing so in a way that is healthy for the occupants and for the building itself. So it could be something simple like, I'm on site and I notice, you know, some bathroom fans aren't working, and that's causing high humidity levels or a lot of moisture to stay in the air inside a bathroom space, and you have some mold growing. You know, that's not good for the occupant health in the long term, but it also could have detrimental impacts on the building envelope. So cause some long-term durability concerns. So having a discussion with the homeowner about their behavior within the house and different improvements or changes that they could make to ensure that it's a good indoor environment for them, but then a safe and good building envelope performance as well. Or on a new home, it might be something like, you know, I know this builder does really well with his air tightness. He builds really good airtight building envelopes, but I don't think he's appropriately sized or planning on installing a good ventilation system. And I know as an energy advisor that, you know, since we don't have a whole bunch of air leakage through the building envelope anymore, because he's built a good airtight building, the occupants still need fresh air to maintain good indoor air quality and maintain good health for them, and have positive impacts on the building as well. So have that discussion with the builder and say, you know, have you thought about the different ways that these systems are interacting, and ensure that they've got all of the components that are going to be put together to make sure that that building is well built and healthy for the occupants. So once the energy advisor has done that energy model and you've had that discussion with the homeowners or the builder, then that house gets built, let's say in the case of a new home, or the homeowners go ahead and do those renovations that you've discussed with them. Once that work is complete, the energy advisor needs to come to site and do that on-site verification and that final air tightness test. So in the case of both either a new or existing home, I'd be coming on site, verifying that the builder installed the windows they said they were going to, or upgraded to the windows they said they were going to, installed the mechanical system they said they were going to, and that it meets the performance specifications that I modeled. So provide all of that on-site verification on the mechanical systems and the building envelope. And then I'm also going to do that final air tightness test to either, you know, maybe in an existing home, demonstrate that they did some air sealing, which is going to improve the overall comfort and for the occupants and energy efficiency of the building. Or for a new home, you know, ensure that they have met the air tightness requirements for the step that they need to achieve in the step code. And once that final
Allison, it seems like your Wi-Fi might be cutting out a bit. Maybe try turning off your video. I'm going to stop your video on your behalf. I've lost her for a moment. There's a question in the Q&A while she's coming back to us. And I'm wondering if maybe Meredith, you could address this basic question about ventilation. Will recirculating vents be added into the building codes for new builds or renovated houses to help with moisture buildup in airtight houses?
So new builds already require heat recovery ventilation. And as it stands right now, there's not a requirement that I'm aware of for heat recovery ventilation. You know, say we replace the windows or really tighten up the house. It's just really a matter of best practice. Hopefully, a future upgrade of the or update of the building code to address retrofits will include that. But so far, not mandatory.
Great.
Not that
Thanks,
I'm aware
Meredith.
of.
Allison, you're back.
Where did I, sorry, I probably was talking for 5 minutes before I realized I'd been cut out.
Maybe go back one slide and let's see where we were at here. There was an air tightness blower door test there. This is where we were.
Okay.
I'm
like
going
it
to
cut out pretty quickly on me.
preemptively shut off your video and maybe that'll help us.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, I'm not sure where in my speech there, my spiel, we got left off, but the air tightness testing, that's the final step of verification that has to be done to either demonstrate that the builder has met the air tightness requirements, say of the step code for the step they're building to, or just to demonstrate that the house, maybe in the case of a renovation situation, has undergone some air sealing, which will improve its overall energy efficiency and comfort for the occupants. And then once that final on-site verification has been performed, the energy advisor is able to put that information back into the energy model, the computer model of the house, verify how it has been built, and help the builder with any final reporting or documentation that they are required to have to demonstrate, say in the case of the step code, that they've met the specific energy performance targets in those 3 different categories of the step code, or that they have met the specific energy performance targets, say for another program, or just for basic homeowner information, maybe in the case of a renovation situation or an existing home. Just a brief note on energy advisor capacity. So I would say I haven't looked up the latest numbers, or I'm not sure if they're available, but there are quite a few energy advisors throughout the province. I would say that in some communities in the north here, we still have some demand, or there's still space that can be filled in terms of energy advisor capacity or availability. But I think that it's a bit of the chicken and the egg in a lot of cases in the communities that haven't already adopted step code. There might not be significant enough demand to warrant an energy advisor working there full time. But I think we're only going to see the industry and the capacity grow as we move forward with those requirements being set in place throughout the province later this year. So this is just a short list. By no means a complete list of where you can find energy advisors that are available in your region or in your jurisdiction. But there are lots of websites out there where you can find, where energy advisors are available in your area. So if your homeowner, your client is planning on doing some renovations, or if you have a good relationship with a builder and you know that they're looking at performance targets or maybe building to the step code even before it's implemented across the province, be sure that they are aware of energy advisors and that you can share this type of information with them and the benefits that working with an energy advisor have, either if it is an existing home, a homeowner, or if it's a builder looking to increase the performance of their next project. And that's it for me. Sorry for my brief connection loss there.
That was great. Thank you very much, Allison. We have one question about the approximate costs to have your house checked. And I know there's lots of factors involved in that, but just generally maybe some of the factors associated with those costs.
Yeah, for sure. For a new home, it is going to vary depending on the complexity of the plans. If you are building a simple square box, you know, that's going to take me a lot less time to do an energy model of than if you're doing a 5,000 square foot, very complex, different roof slopes and all that kind of stuff, model of a home. So it will vary more for new construction. For existing homes, it's a bit of a standardized rate or process. You know, I know it starts at around $600 to do both to do both the initial site visit and the follow-up visit. So for both of those, but that can vary depending on the energy advisor. For new construction, I would say you're looking at between, again, depending on complexity, $1,000, maybe $2,000, but it's going to vary depending on your region, energy advisor availability, and some other factors. And, you know, I'd say that's based on the energy advisor being local to your area. They, of course, can do the energy model, the initial energy model, if it's a new home from anywhere, but when they have to travel to site to do that final airtightness test and verification, there may be travel fees associated with that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now over to you, Meredith Hamstead from Think Bright Homes in Invermere, BC.
Oh, sorry. Do you see my presentation?
Yes, we do.
Well, that is wonderful. Okay, let me get this up. So thank you very much, Allison. That is great. Some of what I will go over here, sort of reinforcing, which is a nice way of saying repeating some of the great content that you delivered. So some of it I might go through a little bit more quickly, but like Allison, I'm going to talk about high performance energy efficient homes, really thinking about how do we market these, what are we doing when we're marketing a high performance home. And maybe just a quick bit of context is that, you know, I'm down here in Invermere. It's rural. It is, you know, periodically very cold climate. And so what I'm talking about today is very, very relevant in the north, just, you know, by way of background on my context. So we're located here in Invermere. We're on the traditional territories of the Ktunaxa and the Secwepemc Nations. We're a small company. My husband, Paul Denchuk, and I have a company that's grown to between 10 and 14 employees, depending on the time of year. And we've been building higher and higher and higher performance homes since 2005. Really our mantra, the thing that gets us out of bed in the morning, is the idea that we want to get 90% of people into homes that are 90% better, rather than just 1% of people into homes that are 100% better. We do 4 to 10 deep energy retrofits per year, and we build up to 4 custom new homes per year. That kind of maxes us out. And from time to time, we squeeze in a spec home that we'll sell for ourselves. We build since 2018 exclusively at the equivalent of step 5 or higher. We just made the move and said, that's all we're doing. At the same time, though, our target clientele is very much mid-market. They typically have really tight budgets. And so in short, we're building for people that other builders might not even consider taking on as clients. So we have to be very cost competitive, both to serve our preferred market and to live up to our mantra. Pretty much everything I'm going to share with you today is based on years of very practical learning and failure on this topic of marketing high performance homes. I'm not a communications expert. Spent a long time doing consulting and de facto communications, but really at Think Bright, we spent years doing everything wrong when we were trying to sell high performance homes. And fortunately, there's no need for you to repeat those mistakes. So whether you're a builder on this presentation who's fairly new to high performance construction, or you're just like slowly moving up the steps, or you're a builder who's been delivering high performance for years, or you're a realtor, you all have to have some degree of comfort with each of these different kinds of definitions about high performance homes. Your depth of knowledge is going to be different depending on who you are and what role you play and what kind of knowledge your clientele expects you to have. But my intent here is to present information that's relevant to all of you. So I'm just going to go through these from a simple definition and up. We're going to start with, in order to understand a high performance home, you need to know what a low performance home is. And this is a code built minimum house. A low performance home uses more energy than it needs to, while leaving the occupants less comfortable and healthy than they could otherwise be. This is the low bar that high performance is relative to. High performance homes, on the other hand, use less energy and they keep the occupants more comfortable and healthy. A whole bunch of other things about durability and moisture control and all of this, but this really is the crux of it when we're talking about high performance as opposed to a low or code performance house. How do we do this? It's pretty straightforward. We reduce the energy loads in the building envelope, so air tightness, better windows and doors, better insulation. We use energy more efficiently in the house by having less intensive mechanical systems, and ideally we add renewable energy to the home to just zero out the energy demand completely. So now that's the simple definition. Now we're on to the regulatory definition. And the primary regulatory framework in BC is now the BC Energy Step Code, which deals with new homes regulated under parts 9 and 3 of the building code. I'm going to focus my comments, following on Allison's presentation on part 9, new homes, because the metrics are relevant for new and existing homes. There are also regulatory changes happening in British Columbia for retrofitting homes, and these really are being driven by rebate eligibility, and they're being led by the Home Performance Contractor Network. And then for standard performance assessment of existing homes, the gold standard in Canada is an EnerGuide audit, which is conducted by someone like Allison, who is a federally certified energy advisor. But the building science that underpins all of these is exactly the same. There are some core metrics. So here we are, we're talking about new homes, part 9 of the BC Building Code. A high performance home uses less energy than this while keeping occupants more comfortable and healthier. So the relativity, more than this, less than that, is reflected in the regulation. So if you're marketing a high performance home, what you need to know is how high performance is it relative to either the best or the worst in the market. So Allison's been through this. We have a tiered step code. There are lots of other ways to communicate how high performance the home is, but within this step code, we've got low or no performance, BC Building Code, the worst legally habitable home that you can occupy in British Columbia. Then you've got the higher steps going up in energy efficiency, and then you're into high performance houses at steps 4 and 5, where the building envelope, the structure itself, is substantively different than it was under the BC Building Code. So when we're talking about high performance homes, we're talking about something that would kind of hit steps 4 or 5. If we're talking about higher performance, we're in steps 1, 2, and 3. So the regulations are rooted in quantitative, measurable, science-based metrics. So because of this, the metrics are essentially the same, whether the home is new or existing. So the answer to the relative question, is it high performance, how high performance, really gets expressed by your energy advisor as a really simple formula about how much energy will be used, how many kilowatt hours per year per square meter of conditioned floor space. There are 3 key performance indicators. Allison's been through this, but just really quickly, these are the predictive or actual indicators. So we measure air changes per hour. This tells us how leaky or drafty the home is. We measure the energy demand of the mechanical system. So your HVAC, hot water. And then we measure how well insulated the building envelope is from under the foundation all the way up over the walls and the roof. And this is expressed as TEDI, the thermal energy demand intensity. If your eyes just glazed over, as I said all of that, just remember that when we get to the marketing part. So for all of these metrics, think golf. The lower the score, the better. So there are a whole bunch of other definitions out there. And each one of these, net zero, built green, Energy Star, CANFI, they have at core those three metrics. And then there are other things that they prioritize around that. But those three metrics really are the core of understanding high performance. So no matter what anybody tells you about my home is this, my home is that, those are the three metrics you're going to go back to. So marketing high performance homes means being able to answer the question of, so what? You've just told me a whole bunch of stuff that I really don't understand that well. Being able to answer that question in a way that's meaningful to your home buyer. So by way of example, each of these homes is a high performance home that was either built or retrofitted by ThinkBright in the last 4 years. The new homes exceed step 5, and the retrofits each delivered a 40 to 50% energy reduction. They serve really different market sectors from low income to high income, but the building science and the building performance standard is the same for all of them. They're airtight, they're well ventilated, they're super insulated, and they have the most appropriate possible energy efficient HVAC systems. These are all technical values, and they don't really get at why your home buyer might care about home performance. And this is where we get into the quantitative value proposition for new homes. This is where questions about marketing begin when we're talking about healthy air. Is this home future-proof? Is it quiet? Is it moisture controlled so it's not getting moldy? These are the things that people really care about. The good news is that your clients, no matter who they are, they already want it. So the US National Association of Home Builders has an annual study called What Home Buyers Really Want. And their 2021 study shows that home buyers already consider energy efficiency to be a top priority. So if your customers haven't already asked you about the performance features of the homes you're selling, they will. So you can be confident you're selling something that your client already wants. You really don't have to convince them. But they don't want it at any cost. Only 15% of American home buyers are actually willing to pay more for a home that is described as environment friendly. This number rises significantly to 57% if they understand that the extra cost will lead to annual savings in their utility bills. So 57% are willing to pay $5,000 more on top of the price of a home in order to save $1,000 a year on utilities. This data tells us that while people want energy efficient homes, the cash proposition offered by high performance homes isn't really a deal maker or breaker, and it's not a surefire way to make money on selling these products. So if you're trying to sell high performance homes, you have to offer your clients more than just energy efficiency and cost savings if you want to be attractive to the majority of home buyers. So let's go back to these houses. You, as the seller, need to know this about your house in order to know if the home you're selling is high performance. But your clients actually care about this. This is the qualitative, lifestyle, human-focused reason that your clients care about what high performance gives them that low performance does not. So put differently, this slide captures the very painful learning process that ThinkBright has been through since we started selling higher performance homes way back in 2005. So very literally, this is my priority list about the homes that we build. That's all I care about. But this is my client's priority list. And at some point, maybe you saw high performance flash by there. At ThinkBright, we are dedicated climate change, energy efficiency, low carbon sustainability nerds, but most of our clients are not. So we have had to develop a value proposition that's almost universally attractive, whether our client is a deep enviro or whether they're just a family that needs to get into the home in the town that they most recently moved to. So let's start with the value proposition of a low performance home. First, we know that most people can't tell just by looking at a home if it's high or low performance. So let's imagine that these are all just code minimum homes and you're selling one of these. It's perfectly located. It's just the right price for the budget. It's got a beautiful kitchen, number of baths, but it may also be any one or all of these things. We don't talk about that very often when we're talking about high performance homes. But what if we've done our homework, we got the energy audit, and we know that these homes are high performance homes? This means that in addition to being perfectly located, just the right price with all the right features, they offer exceptional value that's perhaps even more important. And the trick is, how do we frame it for our buyers? So we might say this: a high performance home, because we've measured the technical aspects, it's going to be cooler in the summer, warmer in the winter, it's quieter because it's well insulated, it's going to deliver fresher, cleaner, safer air. Oh, and it's going to be less expensive to run. And if you remember the heat dome and the wildfires, and in some cases even floods, this home is going to be climate resilient. It's future proofed. So these are things that everybody cares about. On our website communications, we might use a graphic that is more or less complex. So it might be, this is by a company called Hammer and Hand, and they talk here about, the advanced building envelope, heat recovery, ventilation, high performance windows. On this side are the outcomes. It's comfortable, healthy, durable, and efficient. And in the middle is the connection, how we get from one to the other. Or we might present a less complicated graphic like this one that's been put together by CEA, I believe. Both of them tell us the same information. How do we know that this is what we've built? Because we measured it. And we've worked closely with a certified energy advisor to understand the metrics in the background, but those metrics are not how we're selling the house. If we're using emotionally meaningful language that is also credible, now we can sell high performance not as an optional value add, but as the true value of the home for the occupants. This would be a great place for me to talk about labeling, about rebates, about what net zero means, but I'm not going to talk about any of that unless someone has specific questions on it. I think my last slide here, and two more slides. So how do we know what to say? You've heard all of this about, don't go too deeply into the technical stuff, stick with the stuff that's kind of universally important. Really what that means is listening carefully to your client's priorities. You have to hear them and respond in kind. Some of your clients are going to be total energy nerds and crave those technical details. So go ahead and indulge them. But for all the rest, speak their language, not yours. We need to help them understand how a high performance home solves their problems. And maybe it's even a problem that they don't know they have. We have this funny thing that happens in high performance homes that when people move in, they say, oh, I can hear the HRV. But when we remind them what their old gas-fired furnace sounded like, they're like, oh yeah, that thing used to wake me up when it switched on in the middle of the night. So really qualitative language, the gentle hum of an HRV versus, the drafty, fiery house you were living in all those years. So instead of talking about the technical details using metrics and numbers that they might not understand, most people don't know what ACH means, tell them what it will be like to live in the home using simple language. And then for you back at the office, it really is an ongoing, say, continuing ed project to build your legitimate technical knowledge about what makes high performance homes work and how. And you really need to just repeat. Listen, teach, learn, listen, teach, learn, because the technology is constantly improving. What goes into the building envelopes is improving. The heating systems are constantly improving. And last but not least, have some fun with this. It is really, really satisfying to be selling high performance homes. They're lighter on the planet. They deliver extremely good value to the homeowners, to renters. They deliver great value, and you really are helping to make the world a better, more climate resilient place. So throw your heart into it. People have told me before that one of the reasons I'm good at selling high performance homes is because I really, really care about it. And people can feel that that's genuine, and we're having a ton of fun. So my last slide here, just some resources. I thought, if someone here is wondering, how do I market a high performance house? And they get off this presentation, I just Googled marketing high performance homes, British Columbia. And what came up, there are a few here. So on the left is a 2-page brochure, essentially, by the Real Estate Association of British Columbia, marketing the high performance home. On the right here, there's an organization called ZEBEX, and ZEBEX has this great, really simple document for marketing high performance homes. Green Building Advisor has a wonderful article on this. Of course, EnerGuide has great information, as does BC Housing. So it's out there. You do not have to reinvent the wheel. Once you kind of get in the groove of why high performance homes are so awesome, there's lots of resource out there to help you figure out exactly how to do it. So that is the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much, Meredith.
You are welcome.
And now I'm jazzed. I'm going to be doing a deep energy retrofit here shortly.
That's great.
And then you can take your hat off, Gatan, if you want to.
That's right. But
Only
why
if you
would
want
I?
to.
That's right. As you're thinking about, we have a few more minutes for questions and discussion. As you're thinking about what you'd like to know about, I'm going to launch a feedback poll here. We'd really appreciate your feedback on the content of today's webinar and also where you're from. You mentioned just briefly, Meredith, a little bit about labeling. And I know that this is another subject you're quite passionate about. And I just wonder if you touch on that briefly.
I mean, I'll confess passionate, but not knowledgeable on the regulatory side. So with new homes, I mean, we've been building high performance homes for a long time. And so it's really, really nice that there's this level playing field now, an understood EnerGuide audit, and there's a regulatory structure for new homes that, we can say we build step 5 or higher, and that is very quickly becoming standard language. On existing homes, it's still pretty Wild West out there. So, the comparison in Europe, when you advertise a property for rent, you have to include its energy rating so that renters know what they're getting into as far as the cost of being in a home. So we're not there yet, but it's highly likely that labeling for existing homes for sale is coming. I don't know if anyone has better insight than that on it, but particularly for realtors who mostly are selling existing homes, getting to understand that energy labeling and being able to connect your clients with an energy advisor as early as possible in their process is going to be standard. And so now is a great time to learn and test and understand what that labeling means and what value the lower gigajoule ranking is delivering to your clients. So I don't know, Allison, if you want to say something else about labeling for existing homes.
No, I think you covered most of the points there. I think it'll be interesting to see, moving forward. I know there's lots of discussion about existing home labeling and like you said, making that information a requirement or available to new buyers or tenants. So it'll definitely be something to watch for. I mean, the provincial government implemented the step code for new homes, and there's definitely, it's obvious that there's a lot more people living in existing homes than compared to the number of new homes that are built every year. So that's a big part of our energy consumption within the province that a lot of people don't think about. It comes from the homes and the buildings that we occupy. So something to keep your ear to the ground on that I think we'll see more of in the future.
Okay, thank you. I see my colleague Megan Lohman, she also just put something in the chat. There's a little briefing note there about labeling and being part of the Clean BC plan, if anybody wants to look up some more resources. We have a question from Graham, who's asking, is there a percentage number in which you could propose to a client for the cost increase of reaching each step? E.g., step code 2 equals 10% greater efficiency, but what's the incremental cost from the BC building code?
Graham, that is, that is the question ultimately that people are asking. We think that at Think Bright Homes, we tell people we actually don't think there is a building premium. Now, Are we building the exact same house as a code builder in terms of the form, in terms of the orientation? Absolutely not. We know for sure that ThinkBright is building in like dead center of our market in terms of our average per square foot cost. And that is at step 5, exceeding the minimum requirement for step 5. I think the reasons that we can say honestly that there's no additional premium is because we run integrated design processes. We don't have like mid construction oopses about energy efficiency. We work very closely with our energy advisor. So by the time we've costed a house from a new set of plans, we know what our client's budget is. That home would never be built to code. So I can only say I think we're building at no premium, because I can't compare to the code built version of the house. I think once we did great planning and you built the house to code, it would be cheaper. But that's not how it works. That's not what happens in the real world. And so our homes have tiny mechanical rooms with very small mechanical systems, and we can put more money into a Rheem Marathon hot water tank and more money into windows. We're kind of doing I know it has negative connotation, but a shell game of the total budget. We're not spending money on cantilevers and bump outs. We're not spending money on unusable space in the floor plan of the home. There's efficiency in everything in the house. And so it changes the way our homes look. But as I said at the beginning of my presentation, our mantra is to get 90% of people into homes that are 90% more energy efficient. And we're doing that in the middle of the market. So I don't believe that the answer is 2%, step 2 is a 10% cost increase, step 5 is a 70% cost increase. I'm being obviously illustrative there, but I don't think it's necessary. I think we have to change the way we think about building and change the way we invest in the home structure, so that we can continue to land in the middle of the market.
Beautiful. Thanks so much for taking us.
Allison, it looks like you have something you want to say on that as well.
I'll just add briefly. I think that the difficulty we run into is, sure, you might find that you have a budget increase if you go to a builder or an energy advisor and say, this is the house that I have to build. How much more is it going to cost me to build to step 5? Well, if you're dead set on that plan, and it's orientated the wrong way, or it's got, 40% window to wall ratio, or, all this glazing, of course, it's going to take more to make it more energy efficient if you're already set on that design. But if you, kind of as Meredith just said, if you approach it with, here's my budget and here's the level of energy efficiency I want to get to, what can we build that will fit that? Then those are going to be 2 very different answers.
The other thing I've said, that Gaetan will grow tired of having heard me say this, but for the builders who are on the webinar here, if you have not started building in the upper tiers, there's so much fun ahead of you. And I mean that genuinely, not sarcastically. It's really, really amazing to change, to move into this kind of building. And my guidance to you would be, don't tell your clients you're doing it yet, but aim for step 5. Try to design with your energy advisor to step 5, and maybe you're going to fail to step 3 right now, but you're going to be learning about how to get to step 5. And, when we started all of this, I was at a BC housing session that Allison was at, and, there was a big discussion about, well, you can't build a double stud offset wall cost effectively. That's almost all that we build. Because it's just standard stick frame construction. Anyone coming out of their apprenticeship program can build that wall. It's not fancy. We just design for it from the beginning, and we work really closely with our EAs. And now, a number of years later, it's, our EA is basically helping us catch anything that we missed, because we've got a way of building and we can do it really efficiently. So it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be prefabbed. It doesn't have to be high tech. It can be very, very standard construction, and you don't have to go back to university to build step 5 houses. You just have to want to do it.
That's great. Thank you. I'll never grow tired of your answers, Meredith.
Someone loves me.
That is time in a little bit. I really appreciate this. I wish we had more time to continue this great discussion. Thanks everyone for your participation in the Q&A, and you'll be able to find this recording on the Building a Legacy North website in a few days, along with a summary document that my superstar colleague Sally is going to be doing for us, along with a lot of the other links that you've seen in the chat. So yes,
just one question about the certificates for the CPDs, PDPs, how you'll do that.
Yes, and so there's going to be a follow-up email that comes out automatically, that if you've attended, you will have an email that comes and says that you participated in this. So any of you who are a part of any professional association, please go ahead and use that your proof of attendance. And also realtors, please contact BC Northern Real Estate Board, Alex. I put her contact in the chat there for your PPD points. PD points, PDP, CPD, all those things.
For BC Northern members, we're going to put the hour in automatically, but keep your email in case if you didn't say that you were from BC Northern, we won't know, because we're only getting BC Northern's names. And for other realtors, for other associations, you will get that email that Gatan is talking about. You can use that to mark up. We're going to be speaking to AIR to see if they want to have a list as well, but you'll still get the email, and then you can ask for the however your board likes you to put that in your records.
Wonderful. Thanks for that clarification. Okay. Really appreciate your time. We'll see you for future events.
Thanks,
and
everyone.
Enjoy your day.